MGGAG, everybody. Welcome to what's going to be another great Dev and Tell. So, if you didn't know, Dev and Tell is a 30-minute window for members of the DAO to showcase something they're passionate about or been working on. This can be something. This could be an awesome project you've been working on, demonstrating and testing best practices, automation goodies, smart contracts, how to structure a project, etc. Basically, if you got a passion for something, this is your opportunity to share it with the community. Today, I'm happy to introduce to you Keith, who will be showing us his project, Republic. Take it away, Keith.
All right, yeah, thanks. I've been to a few of these and love it, and I'm excited to be sharing it. I'm just gonna put my whole screen up here and then know if there's any issues with that. So today I'm going to be talking about a governance app that I'm creating to run a DAO that I founded called Republic. It's actually a software product before it was a DAO or anything. And the idea is to basically create a global data utility built on open source software where everyone can kind of collect all their personal data, control it, and monetize it if they want, but that's not the primary use case anymore. That was just kind of trend at the time when I was putting this out there, so I was trying to get people in there. And then it's kind of a strange thing to go from that to a voting platform, but I realized trying to start Republic as a co-op and then envisioning it as a user owned and operated utility. Basically, I realized that governance, even before the whole DAO craze, governance is kind of a key problem that has to be there in order, for the vision to work. And so I've actually been thinking about this for over 15 years. I started my career at Wired Magazine as an intern doing news writing. And one of my first stories was, hang on a second. I'm getting a phone call from my daughter. One of my first news stories was about digital voting, and as part of that, I came across some research at Stanford that a buddy of mine was working on about proxy voting, sometimes called liquid democracy, and he had an interesting take on it, which was to delegate your voting power to other people in the network based on the subject matter of the decision. So it's you trust this person for, restaurant recommendations, but this person for music recommendations. And so depending on what the decision was, the whole voting power topology would kind of shift around, which, made a lot of sense to me instead of delegating to a person who might have some views on this and some views on this, but you just kind of have to delegate to them no matter what it is. It made sense to kind of break that up. And so is that clear so far? Any questions? I'd like to be a little bit, participatory if anyone wants to jump in. And I can't see the chat so Narb, maybe if anyone's asking questions, you can say something.
Sure, yeah. I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, so the idea behind this is that we're going to use non-transferable ERC20 tokens to manage the voting power of members. And so there's going to be I'll give you the defaults that we're working with, but these are configurable. So every month there will be 1,000 tokens minted. And then in order to claim those tokens, which are your votes, you have to delegate the entire balance at least to other people in the DAO. So trying to account for lack of participation, where 80-90% of people just don't even pay attention or don't take action on votes. And so this is a way of like, you can't really participate in the system at all without at least, taking that first step of expressing your will through delegation. And so I'll show you the claim page in a little bit, but the idea is to make it as easy as possible for somebody to claim their tokens. If you want to just get through it quickly, you can just delegate everything to one person, no matter what the topic. But if you want to get granular about it, you can go through and be like, oh, I want this person to vote for me on behalf of like software development, or this person to vote for me for marketing, and that sort of stuff. And then the idea is to do something like this is kind of agnostic to how the distribution of tokens gets determined. So like we've been using Coordinape to come up with like the percentage distribution total of the 1,000 tokens. But then once, each person has a percentage next to their name, then you come into the Republic voting app, and then you can go to a claim page for the amount of tokens that you're going to receive. And then it calculates your voting power whenever new proposals come on in. So as like the admin I'm calling these like town halls, and kind of following a pattern of like Discord servers or, other Web3 apps where you kind of have these projects, but I'm going to call them town halls for now. Could be DAOs, could just be any organization. And then this is kind of an admin screen. There are fewer options than for just members, because I can go in here and work on my settings here, change the ticker for the ERC20 token. And just on that for a second, the reason I went with the non-transferable token is I think we're seeing a lot of the fallout from having governance be financialized. And so I'm thinking it seems like the future is like very tightly scoped token use cases. And so by making it non-transferable, it's just limited to this one use case. You can make sure that like this is a user's token balance is really just representative of this one thing of how much work they've done and how much they're trusted with governance decisions within the organization. And we're playing with a little, different models where there's like a linear mint where there's 1,000 tokens every month, or however often people want to do it, or you can do like a percentage where you have like a beginning amount, and then every mint is like a percentage of volume. And then you can choose like a start date, and then based on your interval here every month, then it'll calculate out all your future mints, which isn't quite implemented yet. And then you can choose, I'm not sure if this is something that people want to change, but I'm just going to put it out there for now, percentage of a quorum. And I think my kind of hypothesis is that if you delegate based on subject matter, then you kind of form these working groups that kind of represents just like the organization of a regular company, where these people who are trusted to work on this stuff, they can just work on it autonomously, because like in this system, everyone's delegated to them. Like say you have 4 software developers, and between the 4 of them, they have like 80% of the software development voting power. Then those 4 people don't have to really talk to the rest of the DAO or anything. They can just kind of make decisions autonomously, basically, and then everyone can kind of see their decisions that they're making, and then if they don't like it, then those delegations can be pulled back at any time. And it's kind of like a fluid system of like trust, without blocking everything by like making every decision like something that the whole DAO has to weigh in on, whether they care about it, whether they have expertise in it, whether they like know the context. I think we're seeing that kind of hold up a lot of DAO progress. And
Yeah.
DAOs are supposed to be like way more flexible and agile than traditional companies, but now we've added this like bottleneck where things just come to a standstill basically while the whole DAO has to like discuss these decisions. So
Yeah,
sorry.
100%. Question for me. So basically, do you foresee like one representative from each DAO coming into Republic and setting up um, a profile for their DAO, or can multiple representatives come and manage one of these pages?
I'm trying to make it as low friction as possible. So like the very minimum is like you get a link to your claim like after that's all been determined, and all you have to do is go and connect your wallet and then delegate and claim, and then that's all the time that you have to spend on the platform. But
I see.
let me just go through the workflow here, and I did the dumb thing and worked on it right up until this. I probably broke something, but let's just see. Okay, so this is like a manual mint for now, because I'm just working on like the automated, but ideally you would just set your interval and everything would be taken care of. So I'm just going to say we're going to do it for I might have made it so like it literally won't mint if it's not in the past here. So there we go. And then let's say I'm going to do 50, 25. There's like fake accounts that I've got open in other windows here. And then once you've distributed 100%, then you can mint. And did it work? Maybe not. So when that goes through, then each person can come to their claim. I don't know where that. Let's see if I got claims on these other DAOs here. So this is another DAO that I'm working in called Factland. It's like crowdsourcing fact checking. So these are actually real people. I've got 3 DAOs who have kind of signed on to pilot this. There's Factland, there's my DAO Republic, and then there's JournoDAO, which is like a collection of journalists trying to bring journalists to Web3. Let me see if I can switch accounts and then go to the claim page. Any questions while I sort that out? Does this seem like a good idea to people?
Yeah, this looks pretty awesome to me. Gang, any questions from the crowd? Equivalently, if you can't speak, don't hesitate to write out your question in the chat, and I'll ask on your behalf.
I do love the system, and I think it's a great idea overall. We have a lot of challenges, I feel, in the world where this does address some of them. One of the questions I have, and I don't One of the challenges is, I guess, malicious people, like having many different accounts. Have you looked into potential solutions for that? And if you could give me some thoughts or ideas on that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem basically in all the DAOs and projects that I'm working on, and I personally don't have all the projects are so small right now that it's not like an urgent need. It's kind of like we'd be lucky to have that problem, but like knock on wood. But I know there's a lot of like really smart people working on like proof of humanity and civil resistance, and I'm hoping that kind of like Gitcoin has adopted like a variety of solutions and offered incentives for people to like go through those process. I'm hoping to adopt something like that, or like Keybase or these other apps where like they're kind of taking care of verifying this person has all these social accounts and it's connected to this wallet and that sort of thing. And that problem doesn't really, I don't think I'd be good at solving it, and I don't really want to make a claim that I've like tackled that properly. So I'm really hoping to just outsource that to a different platform. So if anyone has any suggestions on that, and I'll say that this is all open source. I do think it's something that Developer DAO could benefit from, and I've already I had a previous project called Rebase Alerts that I was the champion for in Developer DAO, and donated that code base. So I'd be like, if there's motivation here and there's excitement around it, I'd totally be happy to move this over to Developer DAO, and we could all work on it together. One key component is I've tied this up to discourse, so that once you do a discourse instance, kind of go into your discourse settings and add the URL and an API key, and then you choose like the category. It'll pull in your categories from discourse, and then I've set up then I decide that I could choose any of these, but governance proposals is the one it'll pull in from, and then I can do a mapping of discourse tags to local categories for the app. So let's see if I can go and manage my categories, and I'll just add like a social media. So then I can map that here. And this is built in Next.js, and I've got contracts set up for the ERC20 tokens and the delegation to do like the on-chain delegation, and so the voting power is always like tallied on-chain. But for now, since there's 3 orgs actually using this, I know everybody, and we're kind of like working through the bugs. It's all just like fake blockchain on the server, like just database records. And then there's kind of this interesting point that we're in right now where if we were to move all that logic on chain, then that would require like a certain gas budget to do to do all those transactions. And so it's like, can you hash that stuff and then put it on chain for cheaper? And like negotiation, and then also knowing that like gas fees are going to be like way cheaper theoretically in like 6 months. So I don't know. It's kind of like, should we just slowly move stuff on chain as it becomes like more economical, and like as the user base scales and you kind of need that stuff like civil resistance and defend against any sort of attacks.
Thank you. That's awesome. I really like the app, and I actually Yeah, because like in real world right now, like, for physics, if there's some physics question, you might have some physicists in mind that you trust, right? So you can delegate your votes to them. For climate change, maybe you trust someone, so you delegate, and then so it would definitely be really time saving to just find the people you trust and the subject matter expertise, and then definitely like assign them the ways. It'd be cool to, and probably built on your system later. People would build like KPI websites, so people can monitor how well these groups are doing, and maybe you could have like some ETFs for like physicists that everyone trusts and stuff. But it's really cool. This is definitely, I think, the way for the future, and it's really good to see some of this in action here.
Awesome. I'm going to the. You all can, if you want to just not get very far and run into some bugs, you can go to it's livevoting.republic.io, republic with the hyphen after the E. But let's see if it'll work on. I knew I was going to break something crucial like right beforehand, but I did it anyway. So there is like a social network component in it. That's also something that I don't really want to build. I'm hoping that like, Lens Protocol or Ceramic could just pull in somebody's profile and network from there. But for now, it's kind of like each person, so that you know who to delegate to, can have like a profile here. And there's a lot of interesting questions, like, should you be able to see people's voting record? Because I think we've seen the kind of groupthink that can happen around, like, when you show up to a vote and you just see that, like, everyone's voted yes. And then it's like, well, now I'm just, I was going to vote no, but, like, why even bother? And so it might be interesting to keep the results, or at least make that configurable for the organization to keep results hidden until the decision is reached or until the vote closes. But back to the discourse thing, eventually I think it could be a discourse plugin. But for now, I'm doing I'm doing it through tags. So like if you write a tag like hours-3, then that's going to be, the vote is open for 3 hours from the time that you publish this. And then for the voting mechanism, the single select, you can do a single select with 3 options, or you can do yes and no. And then that'll change like the UI on the app side.
Interesting.
So it's like get rid of single select and make it yes or no. And so the problem here is like, then you'd have to say like what a yes vote means, like in the text of the proposal. Like, because the app won't actually, there's no way for the app to pull in like the text of the yes vote or whatever. It's just going to show like a generic yes, no, abstain UI. Okay, at least this works. This is kind of like the proposal page where you see the category, what's going to determine the voting power. And then you see, so I just wrote this in discourse, like yes is what this means, no vote is what this means, and then this UI is kind of pulled in just based on the tags in discourse. So it doesn't really know about this text in here. So you just kind of have to put that in, but then it'll show you your voting power based on the category of the proposal. And then, there's lots of cool things that you can show right here. And I'm excited to experiment because you have all this data. Like you could show, like, okay, hypothetically, if you voted yes, like what effect would that have with all the delegations in play at this moment versus no. So there's a little bit more of a game theory to it. I don't know if that will ultimately be good or bad, but with all this, I feel like we're starting at a place where things are so broken already that it's like safe enough to just like try some new things because it's what we have isn't great. So
Yeah, nothing to lose for sure.
Yeah.
There's a few minutes left until we're at time. But I guess one critical question for me is there anything in particular you like skill set wise, or just like help with in general to continue building this out from the crowd here or people who watch the recording? And where can they start?
I mean, I think no matter what your skill set, if this is interesting to you and you're passionate about it, like I can definitely use all the help I can get. I'm a pretty senior developer. I've just, mentored a lot of people and done a lot of stuff. So I don't mind if you're pretty junior and you want to come in and just learn some stuff. Definitely, I'll take the time to walk you through it. Otherwise, it's like, a pretty standard Next.js app. And I'm using, if you all remember, like Parse from back in the day, and Facebook open sourced it, and now there's a few people who are actually hosting it and improving it and stuff. So I'm just using Parse for the back end, which makes it pretty easy. There's like I can show you. There's a nice little GUI for like for the database, and they do a lot of stuff for you. Like you can do real-time queries if you want. I find it more user-friendly than Firebase because even though it's like built on MongoDB, it kind of like has a relational API where you can do like pointers to different records, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's helped me like save a lot of time basically.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, even though it's like, I don't know, kind of gauche or whatever, since it was this theoretically abandoned project, it's like works totally great. So I'll get the claim page back up and running, but there's basically just like a spreadsheet matrix where you can delegate a vote based on the categories for all the users, or you can just kind of like do some shortcuts to get through the delegation quickly. I want to cater to like getting through quick, but also giving everyone the controls that they want.
Excellent. Awesome. Great stuff. Any final questions here from the crowd? Going once. Going twice. Sold. All right. Thank you very much, Keith, for coming on, showing us this awesome project, and really looking forward to it getting fleshed out as development continues on here. And for sure, anybody in the crowd who's interested or passionate about this subject matter, please don't hesitate to reach out to Keith or find him on his GitHub profile to start helping him out here. And with that, I want to wish everybody a very happy Friday, happy weekend, wherever you may be, and that will catch you back here next week. And be on the lookout in the chat here and the DevIntel channel itself for the POAP drop for attendees. And Keith, I'll give you your special speaker kudos through DM.
Thank you. And thanks, Narb, for making this happen.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for coming on. And with that, I'll stop the recording.